What's up, everybody? Welcome to another special episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with some of the most interesting guests, all with a touch of what, Terence?
And hottest boards as well.
Oh, hottest boards as well. Hottest boards. Hey,
Hottest
don't be so
boards
objectifying lah. Wow, 2022, no, Terence.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just appreciating it as a work of art lah. You know,
Setting up a lot of... But okay, it's because we do have a guest with us today. We do have a guest in our virtual studio. It was meant to be face-to-face, but as of last weekend, I joined the COVID club. So I'm currently recording with COVID, similar to how Terence was recording a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right. And on that note, we'd like to introduce our long-time guest of Yalabat, one of the people who have appeared the most on our podcast, Rishi Budhrani. Welcome, man.
What's going on, guys? Hi. Hey,
And
sorry,
don't forget mentioning that one of the most popular guests also lah, right? Your episodes get the most listens.
Hey, that's very cool of you to say, man. I didn't really know that because I haven't listened to the episodes I've been on.
Thanks.
But that's because I've been on the episodes, right? Like,
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, do you consume your own content? No, you guys
of course. What do you think I listen to it on the night of every day that we record a podcast?
All of your own work.
Your own supply.
You kind of create it and you put it out there for the people, which is what I love about, what Yalabat is. You guys kind of...
Now the sucking up comes.
Dude,
Well done, Rishi.
I've got nothing to suck up for, man. I'm your most popular guest on the show and the most regular. I mean, look.
Just to clarify, the most popular episodes, not the most popular guests. Two very different things, Rishi.
Yeah.
Oh my god, boy! Tell me what's the fucking difference now, bro? Use your COVID brain and your Pfizer vaccine to tell me what's the difference.
Oh, my COVID brain! I'm really feeling the COVID brain with my COVID nose.
No, I decided to give you the awe sound effect because you really set it up. You guys are like radio DJs without the sound effects, right? And without the restrictions of free-to-air radio.
I was just going to say, I wouldn't take that as a compliment when you call us radio DJ.
You have to let me finish, what?
That's a damn boomer.
Yeah,
that's a
fuck
damn
you,
boomer
Rishi.
analogy.
I mean, I'm saying that, it's like listening to a radio show minus sound effects, minus censorship, which is a good place to be.
So like opinion. A podcast lah.
Which is a podcast. No, that's not true, okay? Podcasts sometimes have sound effects, which I feel are not always good lah.
Oh, true.
True.
So that's why I gave you when you say you had COVID, because it just felt like you set up that moment.
Oh, thanks,
but censorship, you talk, I mean, it's interesting you talk about censorship because, I mean, you're a very popular comedian. Some might argue number one in Singapore, right? But your popularity is about to go to a next level very shortly. But with that territory also comes a lot of scrutiny, right? And the idea of censorship. I mean, maybe best for you to sort of explain what we're talking about, Rishi. Like what is this big event coming up in your life?
Toot your own horn, Rishi. Go forth and toot.
I mean, it's something I've never done in my life, but I'll be one of the hosts of the National Day Parade this year at the Marina Bay Float. Woo! Which is, man. See, if we had sound effects now, that would be another moment. Where we could and then some guy will go, "We are Singapore."
Oh, you brainwash already. Nice one.
Yeah, dude. Totally. Until 9th August, I am 100% brainwashed. No, man, it's really cool, but I think I must clarify on the various platforms and people and friends and audiences that are asking me. No, I'm not going to be doing any like stand-up routine at the parade, okay? Because there's a lot of artillery. Some of the
literally
best weapons,
and figuratively, right?
Some of the best weapons are literally around the corner, okay?
But you will stand up for Singapore, lah. You will stand up for Singapore, for sure.
Sure, bro. Are we doing that? Is that the show today? Like, are we including some National Day pun at every?
It took me a
5
while
minutes?
to get that. Like, it took me a while to get that.
Yeah, COVID brain. But
Yeah, no,
actually, but I also wanted to highlight that because I think when you posted announcing this news on Facebook, you put out a very heartfelt post, and I mean, to be honest, for me, it didn't register as yeah, it's true. It is a big deal. It's not as it's not like any other NDP that we've known in the past, So what can you just explain why you what you posted and why you think it's a big deal,
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I'm a true blue heartland kid. I grew up in the blocks of Bedok South. Any kind of foundation I have in show business or as a person came from, for the want of a better word, from the grassroots. I'm a son of the earth. I mean, I'm a son of the reclaimed land.
Son of Bedok.
Son of the reclaimed land in the East Coast at Bedok, So, yeah, man, I do feel a strong affinity to the nation. I do feel that my identity, my story as a human being and as a performer is very strongly linked to the country's story over the past 30, 35 years. And I never once thought that, hey, one day I'm going to be hosting the parade. The thought never really crossed my mind, especially since I've been a stand-up comedian for the past 10 years in this country. But yeah, when the call came, it was pretty cool. I honestly didn't think twice. I was like, I thought like twice lah, because you got to release 7 Saturdays worth of work during a fairly busy time. It's kind of like national service lah in a way, but on the showbiz front.
Well, were you questioned about your patriotism in the lead up to being selected?
Was I questioned about my patriotism? Not to my face lah.
So all the background checks, the background check of it. All the tweets and Facebook posts.
Everybody has to be vetted, of course, 100%. I have it on good accord that I had to. There were people who had to really fight some battles and overcome some obstacles to have me involved in the show this year. And I don't mean me as in Rishi Budhrani specific, but a stand-up comedian whose material is out there, and not all of it is 100% pro-government or pro policy or whatever. The work that I do is, if you watch the Rishi Report, which we all have been a part of, for example, I try to be as objective and as fair as possible in my commentary and in my jokes even. And I think everybody has seen that. So it was a bit of work, I guess, on the powers that be to open their minds and go like, look, this is the new Singapore we're living in. This guy is not going to show up at the float and make a mess of it. We don't think so.
But can you just be more specific? What do you mean by they had to fight battles? Like, what do they have to do? Like put PowerPoint presentations of your history?
I don't know, in all honesty, but I know that my general showbiz profile was vetted by a lot of people because there's like an NDP show committee that involves the military.
Did you have to submit anything, or they just scour the internet?
I submitted my profile. Which is a corporate profile that I do to any client, for example. And then, there's of course a creative team that puts this whole deck together to go, okay, these are our first choice of show hosts this year, or first choice of artists this year. These are the people we think will fit the show we're trying to do.
Did you know you were being considered? Do you know you were being considered?
The first time I knew was when the creative director, Adrian Pang, reached out to me and went, hey, I'm doing this year, and I would like to put your name forward as my first choice of within my A team of hosts. Would you be open to that? That's the first time. The literal conversation was, look, will you be the I in my CMIO representation for hosts this year? Something about that line just swept me off my feet.
Swept you off your feet.
I was like, what? I'm going to be the eye? And I might be I don't have this on 100% record, but I might be the first non-Tamil speaking eye to host.
Wow.
You put on LinkedIn lah, bro.
No, but I didn't even know this or think about it. Like for me, when I was doing this, like in my head, I'm representing the comedy community. And that's what anybody's asking me. I'm like, yeah, I think there are young comedians out there watching going like, wow, really? You mean these like dick jokes and like all this like, this is government policy jokes we are doing in these little basements and attics to like 15 people on Thursday night. Eventually, this is what can happen. You can like, end up in the middle of the city with 25,000 people and like F-16s and C-130s circling around you. Like, can that really happen? Because I didn't think that would happen at all.
So actually, that was part of the reason why I was quite heartened also reading your post announcing this, because I think the comedy scene kind of has always been seen as like existing in the so-called underbelly of the Singapore media scene, right? You don't see comedy shows, you don't see stand-up comedy shows on TV featuring local artists that much. I think you've made your fair share of appearances on national TV, but usually, you come on as a guest or you guest star in something, but you were not like, contracted or tied to the network or anything like that, right? So it's quite inspiring to see that someone who has, been grinding and working his way through the local scene, and not necessarily, and not being contracted to MediaCorp or anything like that, is actually now being recognized as, hey, this guy is a conversation starter in the national scene, and a pioneer in many ways to a lot of entertainers here. So let's give him the platform and go full mainstream with him. So I thought that was pretty cool. Harish, were you shocked when you heard that Rishi would be a host?
Actually, no way. Like because okay, so we've both been to many of your shows, right, Rishi? And I think I will give you I think your crowd work and your ability to handle a crowd is fucking great, lah. So when you said, being considered for NDP host, I was like, yeah, of course it makes sense. But then that also made me think. And I also wanted to ask you this question. Do you think, like, as a stand-up comedian, whose brand, as a stand-up comedian, you want to be at the cusp of pushing people's way of thinking, questioning, putting forward questions that people don't want to put questions to. Do you have that in your mind? Like, what does being an NDP host mean versus your brand as a stand-up comedian?
Yeah.
Was that ever a thing?
Honestly, I was again surprised that I was invited because some of my most controversial material is out there. Again, like I spent a large part of the pandemic making fun of politicians and policies that were, were things that were great, that I agreed with, that were, based on fact and all. Yeah, we came out and we talked about those things that, were not so cool. We spoke about them as well. So I've never, in my opinion at least, minced my words about what I want to talk about, whether it's in my live stand-up shows or whether it's in any kind of the news, comedy, satire shows that I've done, and that you guys have been a part of as well in a large part of the live shows when we restarted during the pandemic. So I feel moving forward, I will not, mince my words either. Yeah, I do know that being a host of the National Day Parade is not the time and place for me to go up at the parade and go, so these CDC vouchers, what do they really mean? I don't do. It's not like the time for me to go like, oh, look at that, the red lions are jumping out, right? This is, I mean, there's a lot of things that I want to say as a comedian. And everybody knows this. I think everyone I had a conversation with the chief of the Defense Force, and we had a really honest conversation about who his favorite comedians are, And he asked me about, who my influences were. And he said, I appreciate you doing this. I can see that, you're jumping through some hoops, but, we want to, keep it open, and we want to encourage more artists to be a part of the parade. I'm like, yeah, this is a really cool and honest conversation we're having. And even the other people in the military who've talked to me about it, they're like, Rishi, we say we need some new blood. Cannot use the same people every time. Now, how do I explain to this fella that his new blood is 38 years old and just did a blood test to make sure that he's not dying, But yeah, man, I mean, I have not, touch wood, had anything crazy negative. It seems like everybody knows what they're getting into with inviting me to the parade. And it also seems like they are aware that I have this other, identity and life as a stand-up comedian in my theaters, in my clubs. Some of them have been to the live shows before, and they know, this is what we're getting into.
So when did you find out that you were being considered?
I want to say the discussions or the inquiries came in sometime early this year, I want to say, or late last year, something around that.
The saying is that they already start planning for NDP on August 10th, right? Like the year prior, they start planning for the next one already.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was months, if not like a whole year in the making.
So
it's a huge, massive. I mean, the scale of this whole thing is just incredible. Yeah.
When did you start your transformation from Rishi 1.0 to Rishi 2.0?
Oh, I didn't know then. So I took the decision to start training sometime in October 2021.
Yeah.
Do you think that in any way influenced the decision?
Looking back, I probably had the inquiry before that. Actually, no. That didn't. I don't think that influenced it because my transformation was not complete. I hadn't revealed anything.
But they knew you had started already, lah.
I don't think was I putting out stuff about a transformation, or was I just saying I was training? I think I just said I was working out, right?
For those who are listening and wondering what transformation is this, basically Rishi underwent a 100-day transformation.
It was supposed to be 100, but then I had to travel, and so it became 110-day lah.
100.
We wanted to be as honest as possible with the timeline.
110-day transformation where he worked his ass off, worked out, and it all culminated in some very sexy photos taken along East Coast Park, right?
Yeah.
And in the studio.
It's a fair way to describe my health journey, sure.
Yeah, but I mean, actually, just building on Harish's question.
Yep.
Like, you don't look back and see that, when you hear about something like The Secret and all that, and you look back and you connect the dots and all that, do you at least feel like getting back to shape, or at least getting into shape, was like a huge part of manifesting the destiny that 2022 would bring you?
Wait, just back up a bit. Terrence, what is The Secret? I don't know whether it's an in thing anymore.
The Secret is the
What is
book.
The Secret?
It's that old book that, some MMA fighters like Conor McGregor, he said that, he relies on that to keep up his motivation when he was a struggling plumber,
the law of attraction and all that, right? The law of
attraction and really believing that, if I, so far in Rishi's case, it would be, okay, if I work out today, I will get a six-pack. When I get a six-pack, I will get an inquiry about NDP. And then when I do NDP, the next thing is, it goes on. So do you actually even feel like some sense of like the universe is smiling down on you because of your six-pack now?
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is a bit of a heavy question because the reason I actually wanted to do any kind of transformation was because I was in my unhealthiest state, physically and mentally, in my adult life. And that was also largely due to the passing of a very close friend. So I had gone into some kind of I was still working and still creating, but I wasn't at my creative and physical best because I was binge drinking, eating whatever, and it was literally, pandemic plus this was together, right? So I don't know, man. I think if anyone is smiling down on me, I don't believe in the afterlife per se, but yeah, I think if there's anyone smiling down on me, it's that guy, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing these things, wouldn't be trying to take charge of my life. And yeah, I do believe all of us being in showbiz, it does help to be, physically and mentally sharp. And that whole 110 days, it really pushed me to be able to keep up. Like, yeah, if you ask me looking back, connecting the dots, if I was in that shape, in that state, this year, right now, I would not be able to. I would be suffering every Saturday at the float. I would be freaking fainting and falling into the bay and like getting injured because of my weight. But now, although it is exhausting, it is a bit of a workout, running up and down the bloody promenade to get people to do the wave. And then, we're like, you're sweating buckets because it's so hot and you got to make sure you can catch your breath to, get people going. I run up into the stands to interact with the audience. And I think I can do all that and enjoy it now because of, the work I've put in over the past year with my physical and mental state of mind. Training.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So it is that physically taxing, man. Like you be sweating buckets by the end of a session.
Dude, it's a physical show, man. I don't know if it's like that every year, but it is a physical show, man. Like, because you're, like I said, you're like, the stage is just huge. For one, you can't when you watch a stand-up show, like I'm just like rocking there, left side, right side. Hey, what's going on? It's not like we have to jog on and jog into position for different cues, and because of the scale of the production, you have not just like 25,000 people live. You've got like 15 cameras all over. You've got like earmon with the show caller giving you instructions to, count down before you have to introduce the next segment. We are dancing, we're singing. It's just, it's a lot, man. And I don't think physically I would have been able to do it like a year back. Sorry.
And like I'm guessing the lines are all kind of, I wouldn't say scripted, but you know what to say when, right? Or how does that work?
I will say there is a bit of freedom within the structure, but there's also a bit of concern, because there have been past NDPs where, you had that kid who showed the middle finger.
That was a highlight, man. That was a fucking highlight.
And I think every director, every committee is just afraid that, that kind of something like that will happen to overshadow all the work that everybody has done for a year. Because a lot of work goes into it, and there's like MOE has kids, the polys have people performing. Some of the music is pretty cool this year. I mean, live performances are pretty amazing. The defense parade is, I've never seen one live before. Where we show off all this artillery and show off all the Air Force stuff and all that. I mean, it's a pretty cool show, right? And to have that overshadowed by, Uncle Raymond falling onto the float because some cat came in. I mean, I don't know, right? Manifesting, Hopefully something cool happens.
So this weekend was the first NDP preview, right? The full preview. This past weekend.
23rd July was the first preview, yes.
Yeah, the full shebang, full dress rehearsal and all that, is it?
We've been doing the full dress rehearsal for the past 2 to 3 weeks before that, actually, with the primary 5 audiences. Like, they call them national education shows.
Well, so the whole, 25,000 primary 5 students?
I think it's about 20 plus thousand, yeah. Maybe not.
Fuck, there's 20 plus thousand primary 5 students. Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think that's even all of them.
But last weekend was to the public, right? Because one of my close friends and ardent Yalabat listener, she will know I'm referring to her when I say this. She said she went and she had goosebumps. No, the show was that good. No, and she also said she could see how much weight Rishi lost. So I don't know what she thought of you beforehand.
She thought what everybody thought.
Even from the stands, she could tell, wow, Rishi lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, because like we're all running around, like I said, you're running up and down the bloody promenade, going, okay, green sector, are you ready? I mean, whatever lah. But yeah, you're right about the goosebumps part. When I first saw some of the segments, I mean, Adrian and the people he's chosen to work with this year have done a really good job, I think. Yeah.
So it's like just the adrenaline rush the whole time,
yes and no lah. I mean, it's because our job as the hosts, a lot of it happens even before the cameras start rolling. So we show up, as some people are still trickling into the stands, we start getting the crowd energized, tell them about things that might be coming up. So there's a lot of work lah, because some people show up and they really don't care, it's really hot, and some of them are very enthusiastic. It really depends on the day. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's hot. So we really are working lah. So I don't know how much adrenaline there is. It's not like, I mean, if I had to compare to the next closest, coolest thing would be like, it's not like rocking up to the comedy club and full house and you've got your shit down and you go like, okay, man, let's do some jokes. No, it's like it's work. You got to like work to like,
but did it
work to get people into the show? Sorry,
but did it give you like a feel of what? Like you see those mega star comedians like Dave Chappelle and Kevin Hart perform to like, I think Kevin Hart was 80,000 people at the Philadelphia Stadium.
Wow, yeah, man.
So did it give you a bit of like, did you look at it, you're like, wow, fuck, imagine performing comedy to an audience like this?
I don't know, man. Like I've never been a fan of doing stand-up to a crowd bigger than a certain amount because I feel like it reduces the intimacy of the show. You know what I mean? And it's a weird thing to say lah. I mean, of course, the critics will straight away go like, fuck you lah. That's because you cannot sell 80,000 tickets lah. Don't act like it's your choice that you perform to 500 people. You know what I mean? But like, okay, recently when I did my show, right, at the SRT,
which we went for,
which you guys came for, that size to me is not like, it was I think we had maybe 350. The full capacity of the theater is about 380. We opened up about 350 seats, which we had on Fridays, roughly about 350 per night. And to me, I still had an opportunity to give those 350 people a somewhat intimate and personal show. So when I've done shows at the Esplanade, for example, with 2,000 people, and I've done those shows since like 2015, right? For like shows like Happy Ever After. And I always feel like that is just a one-way presentation of your material. Just go out there and you just do the act. And that's it, right? And I've been in a crowd before watching shows at the Esplanade when I did, for example, Kings and Queen. I was in the audience once, right on top. And I didn't really enjoy it because I was like, the act is so far, and these are like, $50 tickets and you are on the third floor. And then when I performed Kings and Queen at the Esplanade, I did my best to understand what an audience member would feel up there. So, you learn as a performer, you're playing up to the galleries, you're playing everywhere and everything. But I still feel like I enjoy myself most in like a certain number. So I think as a producer and a comic, I try to find that magic number that still gives me that enjoyment and still helps me to make money at a show. If that makes sense.
That number is about what? Like 300, 500?
To me, up to like 350, 400, maximum 500 seater is still okay, depending on the layout lah. When it goes to the 1,000-seaters and all, I'm like, it's but maybe I should do that. Maybe sometimes you need to make your mark for the public in that way, lah.
Maybe after 9th August, after 9th August, 10th August, you're like, fuck yeah, man.
But how were the primary 5 students, the 25,000 primary 5 students, how are they as an audience? Was it
they are the
different style
best
engagement?
audiences, man.
Oh, really?
The primary 5 kids are the best. I didn't know this because, like I said, it's my first time hosting. All the other 3 hosts have done it at least a couple of times before. There's a Joaquim Gomez, Sonia Chu, and Siti Khadija. And they're all really cool. Touch wood, they've all been very nice. They're like, ease me into things, guide me along the way, tell me little tips and secrets. And one of the things they said that was, the primary 5 kids are the best audience, man. Don't expect the adults who come for the balloted tickets to have that kind of energy. Because for the primary 5 kids, they are like from the get-go, like, yeah, like the teachers have to rein them in. It's like, hey, Matthew, stop it, Matthew. Matthew, stop here. Don't disturb the host. I sure haven't started. You go into the crowd.
Even on a Saturday afternoon, they're still damn excited. I thought they would be like, sian, they have to go for this thing that feels like school, but not really school.
No, primary 5, they're still not that cynical yet. I think they're still quite, they can buy into the there's the grandiosity of the event, right?
See, I can't speak from experience because I never went for NDP in primary school, no?
Same, dude. I've never watched an NDP live in my life.
Yeah, how come? Most of my friends, they're quite surprised when I tell them. Terrence, you have been, right?
I've been as an adult, yeah.
Oh, you've been as an adult, but as a primary school student?
Kid, no, yeah.
Yeah, adult also no for me, man.
No, but army, I had some experience, ushering.
Oh, yeah, correct.
I was doing ushering outside, yeah.
Army, you can...
Yeah, but I mean, it's always one of those things, even the most cynical Singaporean, when you go there and you're just part of a much larger crowd. And we have all our criticisms of Singapore Army and how they do this, do that. But even as an adult, you watch, the big guns, soldiers doing their thing. It's fun, lah. It's fun. It's a good time, lah.
It's like that many people coming together. It's hard to not be energetic, lah, right?
Yeah. I mean, just the scale of it is overwhelming, man.
I remember going for the Southeast Asian Games opening or closing, and it was fucking great. Just because you get like 30,000 people in one stadium, and that was at a national stadium, so maybe even more than that. There's just a certain energy, lah.
Yep.
But then,
100%.
like you said, you were the eye in the CMIO, lah, right? Do you know the other eyes that were being considered or not? Were there any other eyes that you were aware of?
Oh, dude, I don't. They didn't tell me Harish Tilani was on the list. I don't know. I'm
fuck
not sure.
You, Rishi. Okay, that's my lifelong dream, no, you piece of shit.
Is that what you're asking me? I don't know. I haven't seen the list, man.
No. But
dude, even if you were being considered, right, they cannot consider 2 Sindhi people in 1 year. Trust me. You gotta wait your turn, bro. It'll be me, then Vinny Sharp, then
yeah, that's why on the hierarchy of Sindhis in media, I'm number 3, lah. Number 3.
No lah. We are all after Kishore Mehbubani. That's the bottom line, right? He's always
the
number
OG trailblazer. No, but what about the previous eye, like Abhi Shankara? Like,
what about him?
No, as in, is there any now this year you're the eye, he used to be the eye, you're the new eye? Think of any tension between the eye or not?
No, they had to have a meeting, like they had to just meet up for coffee, and they hand over it's like officially handing over
the mic, Hand over the mic. For the eye,
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't know. Maybe, for all you know, Abby said no, and then it's like, enough lah. I've done this so many times. I don't know. I haven't had this conversation with him, but I did speak to Gurmit Singh about this thing, right?
Oh yeah, he has hosted before.
He's hosted a lot lah.
Yeah.
So I remember when they started talking to me about it, when the job was not confirmed, I asked Gurmit, because we were doing a show together and we were backstage, and I'm like, I asked him, what do you feel about hosting NDP? He's like, you must do it at least once in your life if you are asked. No show I've done in my entire life compares to NDP. I'm like, wow.
Really? In what way?
He's saying the artistic creative way that is very rejuvenating? Or is he talking about the people that you need to please doing NDP or what?
Oh, no. I think he meant it in all positivity lah.
Okay.
And I think it's he didn't go into much detail about it, but I think it was along the lines of what we are saying, that it's just that scale of being a part of, the hugest national flag you can find being printed, the biggest number of people. You've got some of the Air Force maneuvers that you get to see sitting there. They go into these insane Top Gun-like moves. You've got William Xavier's voice in the background. William Xavier is a funny character lah. He tried to. He's got this very 90s like Fresh Prince, Jazzy Jeff kind of vibe. So he rhymes everything.
Yeah.
So when he came to the host container, he was like, he met my co-host CTK, right? He went, CTK, make my day. That's how he meets people. And he's like, look at you, Sonia Chu. That's how he's talking to us. And then he came to me, he's like, oh, let's get dishy, Rishi Budhrani. I'm like, yo.
Let's get dishy. Dishy, man.
Dishy, bro. And now when I told him about the joke, when I said, because I did it at the media launch, right? I was like, I asked the colonel, I said, is it okay if I make some jokes about behind the scenes? They're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. We do this at the media launch at like 9 o'clock in the morning. The media doesn't give a fuck, right? They're just there for the free coffee. And all the jokes I'm doing, the biggest laughs are coming only from the military. Because they're a part of the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And ever since William Xavier heard that, he insists every time he introduces me live now, he goes, and it's Dishy Rishi Budhrani.
Dishy Rishi.
He's trying to force it to stick that, right?
I mean, it's funny. It's all in good. Like I said, it's all in good fun. So far, I've not met or run into anyone who's been negative about the whole experience.
So how do you think your life is going to change after NDP?
How's it going to change?
Like next time your live comedy shows, will it be like presenting ex-NDP host Rishi Budhrani?
Dishy Rishi
Budhrani. Like when you host your next Indian wedding also, hey guys,
well, one thing's for sure lah. I mean,
your Instagram follower count, bro.
I think my rates as an MC in the general market have increased. As a stand-up comedian also, they generally, event companies are asking me straight up like, hey bro, any increase in your rates because of NDP? I'm like, yeah, I mean, and I planned this a little bit lah. It's just natural. And I when I say increase in rates, I mean, whoever is listening in, I think it's important to make a distinction that this is not about greed. It is more about value, right? For example, there are many MCs, DJs, comedians, even or entertainers in the market that when you see them in front of a live crowd, you will be shocked at how much less money they charge as compared to a celebrity MC who's very famous and everybody knows them, but they simply cannot engage a live audience. If that makes sense. So something like this, like NDP.
So no examples or names or anything that we can work off.
Well, I mean, there's.
I'm just fishing. It's okay.
No, that's cool. I mean, that's difficult because it's hard to see. I mean, you have to see them live to make
Darren's
sense.
Just wanting to stir the shit only, Darren's.
I mean, I probably got a few that I can think of, but okay lah.
Everyone has probably been to an event.
Yeah, you've been to an event where you have a celebrity MC who's super famous or whatever.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, they're great on TV, but they cannot do a live show. Correct. I'll give you a positive example of this. Someone who's worth his salt, both on camera and live, is someone like Gurmit Singh. So Gurmit Singh is someone who commands a strong value monetarily and also from a creative perspective because of the work he's done in live shows from Haw Par Villa days all the way to the work he's done on TV in the past 20, 30 years, right? But not everybody does that. So for someone like me, whom I think I've been grinding on the live show circuit for a very, very long time, honing my craft to engage a live crowd, but in the past, I couldn't fetch as much value to an audience as a celebrity MC. Now that with NDP, it's hopefully an opportunity to close a bit of that gap, to let the general public know that, look, this is my value and this is what I can do. I'm not going to attach value to something I'm not good at. I have been working, I have been training in the Alps, and now it's just more congruent. My hopefully my rates are more congruent to the value that I bring, and I hope that for all the performers on the live circuit, that eventually they are able to get the dues that they are worth.
I thought you were going to say it's inflation or something like that.
There's that.
Getting to your shows just costs more than what
the other eye in your life, right?
Yes, it's damn sad. I got to good fucking refinance my mortgage basket. Sorry to talk about adult shit. Speaking of,
so would it be one of your dream one day if the CMIO for NDP host as Jackie or Jinx as the C, Faz as the M, you as the I don't know who's the O. You think that will ever happen or not?
I 100% wish for all the comics who are around me to be able to do the parade once in their lives, at least if they so wish. But I don't think it's possible to have all 4 people being stand-up comedians at a parade.
Fucking havoc, man.
Unless we are at war, and you need people to boost the morale of the troops. Like what Bob Hope used to do for the American troops, right? Unless that's the case, I really don't think you'll find that CMIO lineup.
Is your family super proud that you're doing NDP?
I offered preview tickets to my parents last Saturday, 23rd July.
To the NDP?
To the NDP, yeah. But they were at Rocking Rickshaw with their friends for some Bollywood party. No, it was my dad's birthday party that had been planned for a long time, so they couldn't make it. But yeah, I mean, I do feel that for them it's a huge deal. I try to downplay this a lot because there's a lot of not weird, but I mean positive messages that come in, from people I see down the streets or people who are texting me, people from various Indian communities like Punjabi community or whatever going it's so good to have you represent us. And I never thought of it that way. Like I said, for me, even when I did there was a media interview recently and they asked me a really funny question. They were like, so, Rishi, you are known for your controversial humor and your something along those lines. You are known for your controversial humor and your take on these issues. Why did you decide to do NDP this year? And I'm like, decide? I'm like, it's not like I've been ignoring the committee's calls for the past 35 years, It's the first time they're asking me. And that's why I agreed, It's not like I've been, fuck, no lah, not this year. That's not the case. I think sometimes people feel like actually they've been courting him for a while and he finally agrees and the nation rejoices. No lah, it's not that. It's not the case, So
what? I mean, because you've never been to a live NDP show and it's your first time doing it. What do you think is the biggest misconception that you had or generally most Singaporeans have about NDP lah?
Wow, biggest misconception. Wow, shit. That's a tough one, man. Because I guess in the past, the most recent NDP that I tuned into was because the comics were kind of live tweeting to make fun of it. So
yeah.
comics were all like, okay, let's sit down, let's have some drinks and let's live tweet all the stupid things happening in NDP and hope for some content.
So this year will they be live tweeting stupid things about you?
Yeah, I'm going to be, the comics are having a field day. It's already begun, man. They'll be like, I rock up to the comedy club these days, right? And they're like, Rishi, how are you going to open the show with "Wake Some Noise Singapore"?
No, but I will say that. There are other reasons why I think watching the NDP this year will be great. But you being the host is actually one of the big reasons why I'm going to tune into the whole thing. No.
Oh man, I'm sorry to disappoint you guys, but I'm a really, really tiny part of a really, really huge show.
Fuck you, Rishi.
That's the honesty. Really,
You're the eye. You're the eye, okay?
Yeah, man.
You're the eye.
I am the eye this year. But what I do think is that it's almost like one of the reasons you're saying to watch the show this year, I think, is that it's the first time people are coming together after the pandemic. And that's kind of a running theme, even if you listen to the song this year, it's about, as cheesy as it sounds, it's about, like a phoenix rising through the flames, and you see the set, it's got these freaking wings sticking out into the bay, and it's quite fucking magnificent. If you sit down and just watch it from the stands, you're like, wow, this is pretty insane, man. Like the fact that SAF is so efficient. That's what I keep thinking. I tell the Colonel, I'm like, Colonel, I have a newfound respect for the Singapore Armed Forces, because you guys are pulling this whole thing off. So when I was in the army, to get a fucking pen, you had to indent the whole case. And the storeman will complain, you say you want blue, I only got red, and here, fucking goodie bags for like 25,000 people every week, and it's a really well-run operation, touch wood, it's I've got newfound respect for the SAF, in all honesty.
Because of NDP, because of NDP.
Because of NDP, they get their best, man, but I fool around with them a bit also, because this year the battalion that's running the whole show is 2SIR. And they are known as the 2nd Battalion Singapore Infantry Regiment. But their motto, their war cry is second to none. So I asked the Colonel, I said, but Colonel, y'all are 2nd Battalion. How can you be second to none? I said, you must be second at least to the 1st Battalion, right? And I'm doing this during the sound check, and he's like, don't talk about that, Rishi. It's okay, come on.
So he's on the parade also, he's on the...
the brigade commander kind of hangs out, comes, because it's his first first foray into showbiz also, and man, they're all pretty cool, as in they understand civilian life is very different from military life, and they understand that they are working with people from show business, and they kind of so far it's not been like, hey Rishi, don't like that. I mean, they know I do my stand-up show doing jokes about the parade. I've invited some of them because I'm rerunning the show after I finish the parade on the 12th and 13th of August with some new stuff. And they're aware, and some of them have bought tickets. So I'm like, guys, they're like, yeah, we know, don't worry. Adrian told us already, it's okay. We'll be there.
Actually, now would be a good time to let our listeners know also about your show.
Oh, you want me to plug it? Yeah, sure, man.
Sure, so man. I did plug away shamelessly, man.
This is a show called Rishi Budhrani Live and Exposed. It's my first solo show that I'm doing post-pandemic. It's a fresh, brand new show for 2022. And I'll be rerunning it on the 12th and 13th of August as a Singapore National Day special. And yes, I'll be exposing some of the behind-the-scenes secrets of the National Day Parade. And all the jokes I couldn't do at the parade, I'll be doing here.
And you will be completely naked also, right? While performing?
I will be figuratively naked. I'll be bearing my soul.
Figuratively naked. Yeah. Oh, nicely put, man.
But his body will be in its best condition Because right after NDP, that's when he's finished all the running and all the exercise that he's had to do already.
After NDP,
He'll
I
be
just go and
tip-top
have a Ramly burger at the Esplanade, lah, bro. So I promise I'll be in good shape, lah, you know.
Oh, power.
Awesome.
So, we also did want to speak about a current affair topic.
Yeah.
The shooting the shit was meant to be a short segment, Rishi.
Alamak.
It took like 50 minutes.
I'm so sorry.
No, it
Cannot cut,
No, we keep it unedited, uncensored, bro.
Lazy to edit, just say lazy, lah.
Authentic. It's
Hey,
authentic.
this is not like NDP, okay? This is not like NDP where we censor stuff, okay? We keep things real, okay, Rishi?
Can I edit or not? Yeah, lah, but we...
Of course, we do edit. We edit the sound quality, the music
Okay.
intro, but the content, we keep it raw, Rishi.
Oh, fuck. Shit. Okay. Should
Yeah.
have told me that before, lah.
I mean, it's funny because we were talking about, gathering of people and what amazing things can happen when people
Yeah, that's
gather
why.
together. Because that's literally what we're talking about for this topic also. What amazing things
Terrence-
happen when Singaporeans gather together.
I think people should hire you just to write their segues in life.
I know,
The
yeah.
way you
He's like-
transition,
He's Segway King, right? He's Segway King.
your transitions
that's-
are so seamless. It's unbelievable.
Seamless.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only reason why we got you on this podcast, lah, Rishi. To talk
Me,
about the topic. All that 50 minutes, we didn't give a shit, no? It was just setting up the segue.
This is the warm up act, 50 minutes.
We'll put it at double speed.
Yeah, double speed. What's the term that someone is called to warm up the crowd before a stand-up comedian comes? The wobby or something, is it?
Wobby. Wobby is like,
Wobby is what?
I mean, those are more referred to like for pre-TV kind of spots, lah. Like before the TV taping starts, you have a wobby that energizes the crowd.
And what does
gives
wobby
a-
stand for?
Dude, I don't know, man. Shit.
WABI, is it?
I thought it's WUBBY. Like a
Oh.
wobby. Like a warm-up hubby or a warm-up
A
buddy.
wobby. Okay, warm-up buddy. Warm-up
man.
hubby. Warm-up hubby.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the word that came to my mind when Harish was talking about that was fluffer.
Yeah, mine too, fluffer.
Yeah, actually,
I
that's...
looked it up. I was like, oh yeah, I got it wrong.
No, I think some of them are called fluffers. Yeah.
But fluffer also has a very different term in different industries, lah.
Like, okay. Is there something I'm missing? I don't know.
No, fluffer you never heard in like the porn industry or anything?
Fluffer in the
You
porn
just
industry.
Google fluffer and then the definition will come up like right away lah. But
I haven't watched
just
porn in a
your-
while, yeah.
fluffer is a person employed to keep a porn performer's penis erect on the set.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's the literal
So
definition.
next time if you refer to one of the comics as a fluffer, you might want to think twice, no, Rishi?
Wow, really? Yeah, that's called a fluffer.
Yeah.
So that's probably what the origin of the term is.
Yeah, I mean, in some way, you keep the male actor aroused, you keep the crowd aroused.
Yeah.
Similarly,
them
but through
sort of-
different ways, lah. Through different ways, lah.
Yeah, keep them nice and hard, or nice and wet. I don't know. That's the fluffer's job. Okay.
But speaking of crowds, who took a hard stance on an issue, the topic that we did want to talk about is something that happened over the past weekend. On July 23rd, the same day as the Ndp Preview, another reason why you are the perfect guest, Rishi.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because while you were celebrating the country, there were about 1,200 people who attended a town hall called Protect Singapore, where it was a gathering with an agenda to protect families, marriages, and children in relation to a possible repeal of a law that criminalizes gay sex, which is 377A. lah. So, I mean, I did see rumblings of it online. I saw the post from one of the co-organizers, Mr. Jason Wong. And since then, there's been a police report that has been lodged. lah.
Yep.
And since then, the MHA has come out saying that they will not take any action because there is no criminal offence disclosed.
Yeah.
So, coming off the back of like celebrating NDP, celebrating the country coming together regardless of race, language, or religion, what are your thoughts when you read that article, when you caught wind of that?
Can I tell you where I was when I caught wind of this article first? Because so on Sunday, the 24th of July, I was hosting an interfaith dialogue session between various religious leaders of Abrahamic faiths. So there was a rabbi, an Orthodox Jewish rabbi. There was an ustazah, and there was a representative from the Methodist Church, a preacher and a trainer of he trains. He teaches at a Bible college as well. And this came up because in the audience there were people from the LGBTQ community as well. So some of the discussions that were being had were to do with the various how do these Abrahamic faiths view the LGBTQ community. And that's when someone came to me and said, there's been a town hall yesterday and this conversation is happening, and by all accounts, it seems like 377A will be repealed. And this sort of town hall is to prepare all these people who are so afraid of this act being repealed on how to deal with it moving forward when it gets repealed. I don't know if this is not factual, but this is what was said to me in this particular Ask Me Anything series. So, in my opinion, if that is the case, if this is a way, again, I've read the information, and I think whatever has been organized, it seems like it was organized in a very intelligent way, following all the legal guidelines. Yeah, it wasn't something that was done at that required a police permit because it wasn't in a public place, not at Hong Lim Park or whatever. They did it as a closed door event, private event, and I guess that organization of this group of people, it's not illegal, so there's no legal redress that can be taken. If in fact it is meant to help people who are trying to negotiate with the new world order, which means that the new world order is coming, or rather the repeal of this act is coming, and they just want to figure out how to deal with it. If that in fact is the reason for it, then I think it's fair, it's okay, because it's going to be a change for them as well, right? It's going to be a change for them in lifestyle. It's going to be a change in them for learning to interact with different facets of society. But if the idea was to rally together to see how we can prevent this, that becomes challenging and that becomes problematic, in my opinion. Yeah.
Because I also did hear through WhatsApp and hearsay that the 377A will be repealed in the coming months. There was not much mention about how this was meant to be kind of like a way for people who might be struggling with that change, for them to cope. But I think I've heard about that rumbling for the longest time already. The feeling I get when I see this and I see the messages or like the people in the comment section is that this is something that is here to stay. And I think they will be fighting hard for the longest time. I was just surprised that like 1,200 people apparently was oversubscribed. I mean, thinking about it, I know the movement against repealing 377A is huge, but just to see that many people, and on Facebook seeing some people that I know pretty well share and like the post by Jason Wong, I was like, okay, I guess you like there are like you can't really judge what people think based on what you know of them.
I think they based on what Jason Wong was posting in the so-called manifesto, they kind of want some kind of they know that 377A will happen. I mean, the repeal will happen at some point, but they want some kind of quote unquote political package in place to protect so-called the institutions that are of male-female marriage and what a nuclear family entails, and not encroaching on, not allowing, say, further, in their terms, encroaching of the LGBTQ agenda into life, like, being able to adopt kids or do IVF and things like that. So, I mean, just understanding that they are receptive of what's coming, but they're not receptive. They understand what's coming, but they're also still pushing back by suggesting quite on the nose alternatives, right? Do you think that an event like that is harmful for the Repeal 377A movement?
I think if their attempt or the aim is to prevent the repeal from happening on a policy level, then I think it's too little, too late. In my opinion, I think the policy makers have listened to enough of the crowd and the audience and the public to understand that, there of course will be some inertia, but it is not something that we as a society can we can't hope to be a part of modern society and not be left behind on many fronts if we cannot repeal this act and exist with the world on a very human level. That's my opinion. And I think the policymakers understand that there will be definitely, some inertia and some resistance to this change, but it is extremely necessary because it is the way forward. So I think a town hall like this, while, maybe it can do a little bit of harm if it's, massively rallied movement, but I don't think this group of 1,200 people or their friends and family will be able to affect policy at this point.
But the thing is, even the organizing of an event like this, the MHA is right, there's nothing criminal about it, right? Because I think if you wanted to do a public event, then you need to get a permit, then you need to get all the licenses and all. Because this was a closed, ticketed event, they really didn't do anything wrong. So if that's the case, then you can argue that, okay, it is, because I think a lot of LGBT groups came out saying that it would further cause more discrimination and harassment of LGBTQ individuals. But at the same time, what would be the alternative? To clamp down on events like this that are happening behind closed doors? That's also tricky, right? Because I know on Reddit, people were saying that, so you can just get people organizing closed door events about anything. That's fair. What if it's about terrorism or something like that? Then I think it should be kind of like, if the agenda goes against the laws, like if you plan something around terrorism, the agenda, the topic is terrorism, that is already against the law. But this one, based on their agenda, there was nothing that seemed in conflict with the laws, be it the protection against online harassment and all that, right? So that's why I guess it's a tricky thing here, because they didn't do anything wrong.
Legally,
Legally, they didn't do anything legally.
It's a bunch of people practicing or gathering to kind of figure out what they believe in, which I've not been to a church sermon, an organized worship, for example, maybe in my adult life or in a long time or ever, maybe, and I don't know what is spoken about there, but I am guessing themes and topics like these are addressed in worship also, albeit in a different way, right? They talk about the union of men and women, how the family is the basic unit, and these are some discussions that came up when I was hosting the interfaith dialogue. The representatives from the church, although they don't condemn specifically someone from the LGBTQ plus community, what they feel is the natural order of things is supposed to be man, woman, family, right? That's what they feel. And they say you are not a sinner if you're from the LGBTQ community because you know what? We are all sinners. All of us are sinners. So it's okay. You do you. You do you, bro.
You do you, bro.
But what's there to, this is something I saw online as well. Isn't there a paradox when it comes to tolerance? In that they talked a lot about LGBT activists being intolerant, right? But at the same time, like if we all are expected to be tolerant, right, that means we also have to be tolerant of intolerant people. And if anything, the intolerant people's agenda is to wipe off a segment of population that is trying to practice tolerance, and so eventually, by trying to maintain tolerance in a whole society, the intolerant will end up wiping out the tolerant, and everyone will just be intolerant. So that's where, obviously there's a slippery slope argument to it as well. But that's why there's justification. That's how people are justifying that an event like this shouldn't be allowed to happen because it's propagating ideas that are intolerant of another group of people. Not necessarily breaking the law against them, but promoting intolerance, which can potentially lead to violence and all these things.
So you're saying that the Protect Singapore Townhall is intolerant, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's intolerant of a group, right? Yep. A very specific minority.
Yeah,
but just even the act of organizing that, like you're saying.
Yeah. But
because calling it Protect Singapore, almost like, and then saying that most of Singapore is religious and against this, which is I think that's a bit of a stretch because I would say that the second largest religious group in Singapore is actually non-believers, 20% of them. So to say that most of Singapore is religious and we're against this is kind of just like they also fudging numbers.
They're combining religions, combining religions.
And assuming everyone has a similar
but
view
then
about
speaking of the word intolerant, which I think you said about 27 times within 30 seconds just now.
Correct,
even on the post by Jason Wong, one of the co-organizers, he said, we have been relatively restrained in the face of an intolerant vocal minority that seeks to overturn the order in all areas of society. So they feel that the LGBTQ plus activists are intolerant. And on the outside, we look at Protect Singapore, they're like, these people are intolerant. So everyone's fucking intolerant of everyone else. Right.
Yeah, right. So, it's like, I don't know if you guys watch this clip of Ricky Gervais explaining why he's an atheist when he was on the Stephen Colbert show. He says that, if you believe in one religion, that means you don't believe in 99 others. Right. Like that means you are saying you are a disbeliever of the other faiths. Right. So as an atheist, I just believe in one less God than you. Which is it's a brilliant argument, right? If you make it that way. It's like, because we both don't believe in exactly the same number of gods except one.
Except one.
So that's something that you got to think about. Sometimes I feel like everybody who's a believer of something, because at the end of the day, we are all intolerant of something. To follow Terence's train of thought here, right? At the end of the day, there's always like to believe in something requires, in a large part, a rejection of something else. Like if I as a person, as a Singaporean, believe in tolerance, that means I reject intolerance, right? To follow that argument. If you believe you're eating meat, I reject the idea of vegetarianism. For me, I think the problem here is that you cannot impose your intolerance on someone else, because that is what bigotry is. If you have a negative view on something and you have you're entitled to your own opinions, but if you have a negative view on something and you impose it on someone else, it's like did we follow that Hwa Chong Institution counselor story?
Yeah.
I mean, for those who are listening, so basically this counselor went on, it was a sex education class, and then this person went on to give some statistics about homosexuals and how, 58% of them have intestinal worms. And the heading of the slide was, what are the LGBTQ so proud of? So that is an example, in my opinion, of very blatant bigotry, because it is obvious this person is not giving you information on a factual, neutral basis. It is obvious that they are trying to impose their views on you. And I think that is what the issue is. Not so much that you're intolerant of something else, but you try to impose your intolerance on the wider public, or on anybody else for that matter.
But I mean, because so in one sense, I think they both like when he says the vocal minority is intolerant, he's kind of insinuating that they are intolerant of what? Like the people who want to maintain the standard definition of marriage being woman-man. Because in some sense, the repealing of 377A and all those people for it are just saying that still maintains, but then it's to decriminalize gay sex. So it feels like there's even different definitions or different agendas and different interpretations of what the other group wants. Because I can totally imagine the people who attended this saying that, okay, but you get people who support LGBTQ plus rights organizing events that are focused on that. Why can't we organize events that are focused on what we want? Right. So
I mean, yeah.
So then what is the difference there?
I mean, I thought the example that Rishi brought up about you like meat, I'm a vegetarian. It's an interesting discussion, right? Because you like meat, I'm a vegetarian. But you can go ahead and continue to eat your meat, and I can continue to eat vegetarian. I can continue to eat my vegetables, as long as we both got something to eat. We're okay. But in the case of people who are sort of for and against 377A, it's a case of I get to marry who or generally the LGBT rights. I get to marry who I love. I'm a straight person. You, as a gay person, you don't get that right to marry. And there's no, it's just basically a binary thing. Like you get to marry or you don't get to marry. And it's not like meat versus vegetarianism where if you don't like meat, then you eat vegetables, where you can sort of still have a choice and you still can get full. Both of you get full at the end of it. This one is saying, let's keep it like this where I get to do something that you don't get to do. And that's where there's one saying that the other is intolerant is a bit of a, I feel, what was that term? It's a bit of a conundrum. The argument doesn't really...
Strawman.
Yeah, the argument doesn't really... Yeah, strawman, because it doesn't really hold water. Just because someone is trying to keep you suppressed. The other side is just trying to reach up to your level, the same level as you. But both sides are calling each other intolerant. You see what I'm saying?
I understand. I understand what you mean. I'm guessing that where it would be a level playing field is if we actually reach that point where 377A is repealed. Again, which I feel like it is really just a matter of time, and it is something that will happen, And when that happens, not if, I feel like when that happens, then it'll be a case of, okay, you do what you want. Let me do what I want. Let me eat what I want. You can now. You also have the opportunity to eat what you want, right? But I think the problem here is sometimes where I go and tell you, no, vegetarianism is not natural. Okay, you're not. No lah. Nobody is born vegetarian. No such thing. Everybody must eat meat. I'm saying that is the problem. If we reach a point where it's repealed, it probably still won't be the case for same-sex marriages. Probably still won't be the case for adoption. I think that is a battle for the future. But I think the current battle of repealing 377A, we will see it in our lifetime. We must. But I think it'll be very surprised.
So if I hear you, what you're saying kind of is that, in an event like this, it's basically old people and boomers who can't get with the program, and we don't have to worry too much about it because it's I mean, it's going to happen lah. So don't worry too much about it.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think it should be encouraged. No, but I think within the legal framework that we have in this country, it is impossible to stop an event like this. Is it legally right? Okay, yeah, it's fine. But ethically, perhaps not, because like we said earlier, there are side effects that are not from the legal framework that might still trickle in. Like, for example, we were saying things like harassment or bullying that perpetuate the whole idea that, being of the LGBTQ community is not a natural thing. It's either a matter of nurture, a matter of choice, and, that the side effects of that, I feel, are what we should be more concerned about, not the legal impact of it.
But also...
So in a sense, it's just, there's a Streisand effect going on as well, where because there are people trying to report them to the police, they actually use that they can use that and say, hey, look, you see, people are so intolerant of our ideas and things like that.
Maybe there is maybe there's a way for them to use that against, because I think if you are, the challenge is that they are probably very intelligent, functional leaders who are organizing these things, and these people must be like really of high functioning, high degree in society.
The founder he's the founder of Yellow Ribbon,
and that's for life.
And also That's for Life. Both very good community initiatives. Right?
So I think they probably come from a place of, look, this is my belief. This is what I'm trying to do, and they have the capability of doing it. But it'd be very hard to catch them on a legal... sorry, go on. Yeah.
But legal thing aside, I think the analogy that you all were talking about just now about food and diet preference is good, because literally in his post he also says that they want the government to maintain the current political package and not to repeal 377A until there are adequate safeguards and until there is an inclusion of enshrining man-woman marriage in the constitution. So literally it's saying that they still only want one form of marriage lah. As opposed to or if you go on the other side, they're like, okay, you can still have man-women's marriage, but we just want gay marriage to be allowed as well lah. So both can get married. So in that sense, then it becomes like, oh, okay, one is trying to maintain the status quo and not be as inclusive as they could be lah. But like what you said also about the point about the leaders, the fact that he is the founder of Dads for Life, which is a movement for what, Terence?
I think it's just for dads to be more present in the child's upbringing. It's not a huge movement. I didn't sign up and get membership the moment I became a dad or anything. But I think that's what they're trying to advocate, which is a good, healthy message.
And even Yellow Ribbon, right? Everybody knows the Yellow Ribbon. Right? But then I guess if you're an ex-prisoner who's gay, then sorry lah, no Yellow Ribbon lah. Right, no Yellow Ribbon.
No. If you renounce your lifestyle,
then you got Yellow Ribbon. Then you got Yellow Ribbon.
Yeah.
So how, Rishi? Maybe during the NDP you can put in a word or something. Share your thoughts.
I was going to say I stand corrected, but I think I want to say I've seen this dude in some NDP videos somewhere.
Oh, is it? Probably for the Yellow Ribbon. For the yellow ribbon, because which has done a lot of good work.
Yeah. I want to say,
right. But so interesting. So, do you think would that change your opinions of Yellow Ribbon, how you would support it, or would you advocate for it next time, knowing that the founder
how
has
can
this
you?
belief?
I don't think so. My opinion is that sometimes you got to judge actions based on what they are and what they achieve lah. If we start questioning every single person who's done good in this world, then we will not accept anything. You know what I mean? I feel like we have to understand that we will always have imperfect allies, imperfect leaders, imperfect people who would have done good. So yeah, no, man. I think my link or whatever would be to support the actions and and the actual effects of the movement.
Well, Terence, would you change your... Wait, sorry, Rishi, you finish your thought?
Oh, no. Yeah, no. That was pretty much it, man.
Terence, would you change your opinion?
I would be a bit more careful about, let's say, being affiliated with Dads for Life or anything. Even out of my own, nothing to do with like this article or his name or what, I've actually went to look up like what Dads for Life does. Oh, is there stuff that because I've always felt there wasn't a lot of support for men to talk about being a dad and what it means to be present for your kid and things like that. So I thought, okay, at least there's some organizations trying to put that out there, but I'd be a bit more careful knowing the quite strong religious slant that the founder has specifically, because I would like if it's meant to be a public service kind of thing, I would like it to remain in a more secular space. That I don't feel like, is there a so-called agenda or a kind of belief system that is underpinning, what is generally a good movement, whether it's Yellow Ribbon or what, so if I'm giving money or anything, not that I got money to give, but if I'm doing anything, like if like being asked to contribute time or contribute even content or something like that, I'd be a bit more, like, does the founder's beliefs match up with
but
mine as well?
on their website, he's not on the board of directors, no. So I don't know whether he runs
but he was the original founder, maybe. Yeah, maybe not anymore. So I didn't say that I will immediately.
You would be a little more
but
cautious.
Yeah, you just go on YouTube. Yeah, you go on YouTube. You look up his name alongside Dads for Life or alongside Yellow Ribbon. You see that there's a lot of speeches given in churches. Proselytizing and linking those movements with his religious beliefs. So I think like Rishi, on our previous episode, we spoke about this Hwa Chong incident. So our problem, the main problem we had with that incident was the bad science that was shown to students. It was really bad science. It was, I don't know where they were getting numbers from. But also
I understand.
Yeah, but aside from those slides, the fact that he showed a TrueLove.is video. And TrueLove.is is by a religious movement as well, whether or not you agree with what they think about the LGBT, issues and how to deal with them. That what underpins it is a belief system that is religious, lah. So to me, it was like, okay, that's in the realm of something wrong already, because you're showing a bunch of students who don't know better something from a religious organization.
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, with you on that, it's something that was, I mean, especially coming from someone in a position of authority to, kids, essentially, 16-year-olds. For me, that was a clear, blatant issue. Unfortunate, and I think they're investigating it, right? That one, there has been a police report made, and I believe they are investigating that. Yeah,
there has been a police report made, but yeah, I mean, like it's this town hall. I don't think there's any follow up because the investigations, I think, has come to a halt. But I think it's always good to hear from our listeners their thoughts on something as polarizing as this, because whenever we cover this, we will always get comments on both sides, some support, some disappointed in our take and all. So now there'll be three people to be disappointed in potentially.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But the most famous of three of us, you can direct your comments towards him.
Correct.
It's okay,
jeer him.
I've been like, I'm a stand-up comedian. I deal with rejection on a daily basis, so
that's true. That's true. That is true.
Your disappointment, I don't know what to do with it, Most you'll turn into the next set of jokes,
What's the worst thing that an audience member can do during NDP that will make your day feel like shit?
I don't know, man. I hope I never have to see that.
I think the audience is big enough where
jeering
for one person to do something is a bit tough, right?
I mean, if someone does something on live TV, it ruins it for everybody, right? Someone decides to
like show a finger.
No, but I'm just talking about for your feelings, for your feelings. Like to hurt your feelings, what would hurt your feelings? Like you say you have thick skin and everything from the comedy scene, but I'm sure there's still one or two times that, you know, somebody said something or what that shook you a little bit, right?
Yeah, I guess. Well, on stage,
Oh,
off stage?
unshakable,
On
Rishi.
stage.
Unshakable.
No, I'm just trying to think of
nothing.
like moments where on stage, I mean, I was doing a show where someone asked me to stop the show. I guess that's probably the most pissing off thing that can happen.
Like he stood up and said,
Yeah.
stop.
Why?
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Okay. Long story short, this was a Cindy event.
Oh, Cindy event. Our people, Cindy, Cindy
I mean,
event.
I was a youngish comedian, maybe 2-3 years into comedy. They invited me to do this thing called the Cindy Sammelan in Malaysia, which is like this gathering of. I mean, it's a very archaic thing, kids or younger people don't go to these things, but it's like, you know, Cindy people from all over the world, they come together, hang out, but it's mostly like seniors, senior people.
Yeah.
And they asked me to do some stand up. So I was like, yo, you know, you cool if I do some Cindy stand up and English? They're like, yeah, please, everybody understands. I'm like, okay. And then the organizer, I said, you know, where are the young people in the room so I can get them involved and make it a bit more fun? So they said, oh, you can bring this people. So they gave me a few names. I said, okay. So I'm going to fool around with them. So towards the end of my set, I bring these people on stage and we're hanging out. We're joking about how, you know, these kind of Cindy events are actually meant to matchmake young Cindy kids with each other. It's all in good fun, right? So that segment's going on, the crowd's laughing, and it's going well. Then one of the organizers, who obviously didn't know about this, he runs up to the front of the stage and says, "Stop this! We don't want this! Stop it! No, we don't want this act. No."
Then.
Well, what was the rationale?
So I'm on
why?
stage. Imagine I'm like 20 minutes into the show, right?
Yeah.
And this stuff is going on, and people are. I mean, I think they were enjoying the show, right? Because it's all in good fun. And they stopped it, and then I composed myself. I said, "Okay, I guess there's a elderly uncle here who doesn't want the four of you to be on stage. Maybe y'all can go. Thank you very much for your participation." And then I took a moment and I said to the crowd, I said, "Look, this gentleman has just come and asked me to stop the show. But if you guys want me to continue to do a few more jokes, let me hear you scream." And then everybody went, "Ah!" So I'm like, wow, thank God.
Then the uncle.
So, I mean, I don't know, but I finished my show. I did another couple of jokes. I wrapped up and I went down. And then it was just chaos because I'm like, what the fuck was that? What are you trying to do? And then he's like, no, we didn't want this. I said, your committee said it was okay. So why are you stopping my show in the middle of it? You know, and then we had this argument. And then some of the other committee members came and said, so sorry, Rishi, this was a misunderstanding. We didn't mean it. You know, this guy, it's his niece up there. So he got a bit... I'm like, fuck, man, you gave me these names.
This is at Sindhu House, is it?
No, this was in Malaysia.
Oh, Malaysia.
Malaysia.
I see.
And
This is the equivalent. Is like Lee Hsien Loong suddenly stands up during NDP and stop the show.
let's
Suddenly,
hope.
right? Suddenly, Rishi.
We didn't ask for Rishi Budhrani. You know,
Stop it now. And then you can say the same thing. You can say the same thing. If you guys want me to keep carrying on, let me hear some noise.
Let me hear you,
imagine
Singapore.
the stage manager like go fireworks at this point.
Oh, that would be fucking epic. And that's when you know you have exorcised the ghost of your past.
Oh boy, and then I'll just migrate to Perth, bro, that night.
Yeah, that's we can have
Book
a
a
farewell
flight.
podcast with you. We can have all
Dude,
future
it's gonna
podcasts
be-
with you will be remote.
Yeah.
You cannot come to Singapore.
I should book a flight like 9th August night in case this happens. So from the float, I nicely just enter the taxi and get the fuck out.
Yeah.
But that was probably the worst
God.
thing. I mean, in my... Like, even if people don't laugh or people are heckling or, you know, someone tries to be stupid or what, at least, you know, it's still a fucking show, right? I still carry on. I still do what I'm there to do. But someone tells you to stop. That is the most pissing off part. And the irony of this whole thing is that after that part ended, the fucking MC calls me back on stage and they like gave me a plaque and like some scarf to like and flowers to felicitate me. Like, thank you, very proud to have Singaporean act come to Malaysia. Thank you, Singaporean Cindy, Rishi Budhrani. It was just, I tell you what, that was just, I mean, that dude really pissed me off. I still remember his face. I went up to him after, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you trying? And he's like, oh, we all have vibes and datas. That's why, this is
Have you seen him since then?
No lah. No. Most of the people I realize in my showbiz career who behave in this manner or in a negative manner are mostly nobodies, unfortunately. They are just like on some mini power trip and they try to, drag you down with them. I've never seen the man after, and I wish him all the worst in life. I hope like his bald head gets like.
I actually have a lot of family in Malaysia, no? I have a lot of family in Malaysia.
Oh fuck, maybe this is your uncle. I'm so sorry.
This is my uncle. I'll ask my uncle next time. Uncle, have you heard of Rishi Budhrani? He'll be this terrible man. Terrible man.
Yeah, I stopped his show. I told him
stopped his show.
I told him get the bloody fuck off the stage.
10 years ago, I stopped his show. Yeah, he was our recent NDP host.
Oh, tell him to carry on. Good.
But on that funny note, shall we move into the final segment of the one Shiok Thing or not?
All right, man.
Yes.
Cool, man.
Yes,
Rishi, you got yours ready. We'll still go first, but you got yours ready. Or you last minute homework now?
No, I have but I mean, is it weird for me to talk about a stand-up show that's not mine?
No, as long as other people can watch it.
Yeah. Okay. Then I have something
okay.
important to share.
Okay, then Terence, would you like to go first?
I think there's this channel called I think it's called SB Nation. It's a sports related channel, and they do a lot of sports related videos where they call it, I think, SB Rewind. And it's a whole series where they take a moment in a sport, like let's say, LeBron James, like how he won the 2006 NBA Finals, and they do a sort of rewind video talking about everything leading up to that moment that you watch in the sport. So I think I think they do a lot of interesting series. Oh, it's called Rewinder. I think it's called Rewinder. So they do football, they do baseball, they do basketball, and now they also do MMA. So they talk about, for example, Didier Drogba's final kick in Chelsea's 2012 Champions League win, and they just do a deep dive rewind into everything leading up to that moment and how everything in media, everything in the sport, everything in the player's personal life was leading up to that momentous moment when that act, that moment in sport happened. And it's such an epic moment that we celebrate just mostly for the sport of it. But over time, we tend to forget that there was a lot of backstory that led up to why that moment was so exciting for everyone.
Right.
For example, Kobe Bryant's final shot in the NBA. And recently they did one on the fastest knockout in UFC history happened. So, I mean, I think I've spoken about it on the podcast about how George Masvidal had a long backstory of leading up to becoming the most popular fighter in 2019. So it just this whole series is very interesting to watch, and I encourage anyone with if you like any sport, most likely they've done something. They also do tennis, so like Nadal versus Federer at Wimbledon. They do all these little moments in sport that are worth remembering, and just do it as a documentation of everything leading up to that moment.
Nice.
Yeah.
Rewinder.
Yeah, Rewinder. That's right.
Okay.
SB Nation Rewinder. Yeah.
SB Nation. Okay. My one Shiok Thing is a show that I recently started on Netflix while I was just recovering from COVID. It's called Sex Education, which is not a new show. But it's a show that I initially thought would be just some like high school kind of nonsense crap and all. But after a few of my friends recommended it to me, I gave it a shot, and right from the first episode, I think it's such a cool story. Basically, it's about this son of a sex therapist who becomes a sex therapist for his fellow students. And it's a comedy, it's edgy, it's racy, and yeah, I just thought it's a good
Is it
show.
one of Gillian Anderson?
Yeah, Gillian
that's the
Anderson.
one.
Yeah, she's in it.
Yeah,
Right?
Gillian Anderson. And the Margot Robbie lookalike, who is one of the actresses. And I think it's a really good show. It's a smart show. It's edgy and wow, it's awesome. It's awesome. I highly recommend it. But of course, there's nudity and all, so watch it when you can. Probably like when you listen to this podcast, as long as you can listen to this podcast.
Watch it with your parents, guys. Sex education.
Yeah, because it's an educational show. It's an educational show. Yeah. But cool.
Does it require the pin code when you watch it on Netflix?
It does.
Oh, it does.
Yeah,
Okay,
the opening
that
scene of the entire season, there's like a sex scene already.
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay.
Nice one.
Got it.
Yeah, so that was a good way of opening the show.
Helping you recover from COVID.
Yeah.
Now we know what he's doing in isolation.
So what about you, Rishi?
Okay, so I mean, at the risk of not breaking the bias, I'm going to talk about stand-up shows that are coming up because I think there's a lot of great live comedy happening in Singapore, and I highly recommend you guys go out and check it out. I mean, we've talked about my solo show happening after NDP, so if you've got time, check that out. But this week, if we are releasing this before the 29th of July, I'm very excited because one of my longtime collaborators and friends, and I've known this guy since like 2017 when we were writing OK Chop together. He was a staff writer back then on the show. And then since then, he started doing stand-up. He's been writing the Rishi Report together with me over the pandemic. And this Friday, he does his first ever solo show. His name is Siraj Aziz. He's a really unique, Southeast Asian voice, I feel. Very thought-provoking material. And he's going to become a dad. So the title of his special is called Before the Baby Comes. Because literally the EDD of his wife is around this time.
Wow.
So I'm really excited for it. I've seen the preview. I'm going to be hosting the show. And I think if you guys have time, you want to see something different. It's not your traditional stand-up show. It's a little different. It's, some exciting stories, some very heartfelt, thought-provoking stuff. So yeah, check it out. You can get tickets at sirajaziz.com.
SIRAJAZIZ, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I totally second that. Siraj, very, very funny guy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Even in person and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, solid guy. And it's nice to see how, because I think I first met him also on a MediaCorp show when he was writing for the 5 show or something.
Maybe.
He was doing some writing there.
In the dark ages. In the dark ages of his career.
So where can people find you, Rishi?
So you can look me up on my website, rishibudhrani.com, or if you type my full name, Rishi Budhrani, you'll find me on Instagram, on TikTok. That's where I'm most active right now with all my latest show information. Yeah, man.
So you get both the comedy pictures, but also the 6-pack pictures on Instagram.
There will be some thirst traps. There will be.
Thirst traps.
But the people who fall for most of these thirst traps are middle-aged Indian uncles, unfortunately.
Middle-aged uncles.
Yeah. They will tell me, take it off. Take off the shirt. We don't want. Take off the kacho also. No, take off the pants also. We don't want this. I'm Harish uncle, okay?
I got a nephew who's very conservative.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, man.
And I guess the whole of Singapore can also find you on Channel 5 At what time on
Oh, yeah.
NDP?
Alamak, I don't,
9th August.
What time? It'll be 6 p.m. right? It starts at 6
I don't know.
right?
I start work at like 5 p.m.
If we don't care what time you start work, what time can we watch?
I don't know what time we go live, About
I think it's 6.
I think
it's 6.
around 5:50. Just turn on your TVs from like 5:45 onwards, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, can.
Because
Rishi Budhrani, man.
yeah, man. Thanks a lot for having me. Yala Bird, guys, Harish and Terrence.
No, cool.
Always a pleasure.
Cool, man. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
And see you on the big screen, man.
Sure. If you got a big screen TV, great. Otherwise, Most people
Small screen also
watch it
can.
on YouTube.
Small-
nowadays.
And
Small screen.
have that
Small
have
screen
that-
also can.
the roasting feed from the other comedians at the same time.
correct.
Yeah,
The tweet storm,
running
the tweet storm.
alongside.
If you still use Twitter, I'm probably going to be heavily tweeted by my fellow comedians for all the things they will say they will never do. But I think if they were put in my position, they would be right up there at the float as well, going, "Stand up, Singapore, make your voices heard."
All right, man. Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot,
Rishi.
guys.
Good chatting with you.
Yep.
And thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to y'all soon.